We can start, sir.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GSTZen webinar and our continuous learning channel to ensure that our customers are updated with the GST knowledge. Special thanks to Utkarsh in managing and hosting the sessions. Just to begin, giving you a brief about GSTZen. GSTZen is an ASP and GSP. We've been into the business of filing GST returns since 2016, a year before GST began operating. And as a GSP, we assist a lot of corporates to file the returns directly to the government portal using our APIs. As an ASP, we have an application where a lot of customers use the applications to prepare GST returns, file returns, do reconciliation, communicate to vendors whenever there is a mismatch. And our much talked about reports, consolidated GST report, wherein GSTR-1, 3B, 2A, 2B, interconnected data being downloaded is much talked about report. Our customers range from mom and pop store, brick and mortar, to listed entities. People from service industry, goods, manufacturing, all different verticals are our customers. With this brief note, let us begin to today's webinar on filing of annual returns and reconciliation statement using GSTZen. Today's webinar, we will be covering on basic aspects of 9 and 9C, the aspects that needs to be reported in 9 and 9C. If you have any spillover effects, how do we handle the spillover effects, the recent updates, and special focus on how GSTZen can simplify in filing of 9 and 9C. Utkarsh, is the session being recorded? Because for the people at a future use.
Yes, it is getting recorded, sir.
Let's start with the legal provisions. Section 44, read with Rule 80, states that every registered person other than input service distributor, TDS, TCS filers, casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person shall furnish annual return. Earlier, we had two sections, now it got merged, and this may include a self-certified reconciliation statement, reconciling the value of supplies declared in the returns furnished in the financial year. Now, for many, it is sounding like complicated. The bottom line they are saying is you can file GSTR-9 and 9C within such time frame as prescribed. So 9 is for the registered person, 80 subsection 80 subrule 1, and we don't have the requirement of 9A unless otherwise the person from a composition switch to the regular, and he also have 9 obligation to be filed. So if you look at on the common portal, people whose turnover up to 5 crores, they don't need to file 9. So there is an exemption that is available. Exemption is aggregate turnover up to 2 crores. Both 9 and 9C is optional. Between 2 to 5 crores, 9 is mandatory, 9C is optional. More than 5 crores, both 9 and 9C are mandatory. Due date to file this is 31st December, and we have the notification date 14/2024. We have our learning website, GST Learn, where all the content related data is updated, notification, rates, circulars, time to time is updated. Those who are into the practice of GST, filing GST returns, can subscribe to GST Learn to get regular updates on GST. These are the threshold limits for the financial year 23-24. So what we are talking now is for the financial year 23-24, wherein one has to file their returns by 31st December 24, which means We have exactly a month to file the annual returns. Now let's understand the contents of the annual return. Before that, we need to understand the context of the annual return. The context of the annual return, which is GSTR-9 versus GSTR-9C. When it comes to the 9C, you are purely taking the data from books of accounts, assessing your turnover and liability and reporting. So when we say 9C, it is talking about what should be done. But when we are talking about 9, we are talking about what is done. When we say what is done, the turnover on which the taxes are paid, only that turnover will be written. Exemptions declared will be given here. While in 9C, exemptions as per law would be given. The taxes paid would be in 9. Payment could be through 3B or DRC03. But what is to be actually paid is there in 9C. If you have complied with the law, whatever you need to do and you have done, your 9 and 9C will be matching. Let me repeat again. Whatever you are supposed to do vis-a-vis what you have actually done, then your 9C and 9 would be matching. If you have short paid the taxes or excess paid the taxes, then your 9C and 9 would not be matching. You availed ITC beyond what you are eligible or what you have. Again, 9C and 9 would not be matching. If you have taken what you are eligible of, again, 9 and 9C would be matching. So context is more important. I will come back on this slide again before we end. Let's understand GSTR-9, a very beautifully designed form divided into 6 parts. Part 1 is a basic information covering table 1 to 3. Part 2 is liability, table 4 and 5. Part 3 is input tax credit, table 6, 7, 8. Part 4 is tax paid details, which is table 9. Part 5 is taxes of earlier years paid in the current year through 3B, ITC of earlier years availed in the current year in 3B, or reversed earlier ITC in the current year through 3B. So when I'm talking about part 5, I am explicitly stressing that it is a transaction of earlier year done in the current year through 3B. Only that would be coming in your part 5. Part 6 is government wanting another information. It is table 15 to 19. There is an additional information that would be given. Let's get into 9C. 9C is divided into 5 parts, 16 tables. Part 1 is the basic information. Part 2 is the turnover details. Part 3 is the tax liability payable and paid. Part 4 is ITC, table 12 to 16. 9C, I'll come again little later in detail, but today's focus is more on the filling of the annual return. For preparing and filing the annual return, you need to have some primary information. What is the primary information? 12 months 3B data, 12 months GSTR-1 data, audited books of accounts, your 2B. This is your primary information that you need to have. While there is an additional information that is required, 3B data from April to November, returns filed between April to November, GSTR-9 of the previous year to know if there is any carry forward of the information, DRC03 payments during the period. If there are any notices, demands again from the department, details of refunds claimed. On top of all this, you need to have a good filing and reconciliation software. That is about GSTZen, which we are going to discuss today. Why having a software? If you log into the portal, click on returns, annual return, and select 23-24, you have online and offline as an option. You select online, automatically in all the tables, some information is auto-populated. You may choose to go ahead, click and submit. But the problem is you might have something not reconciled. Error is human. Some information in GSTR-1 wouldn't have been filed on time. tax rates would have been wrong. It could be any of the situation. GSTR-9 is the last option to correct if there are any errors during the tax period. More importantly, why you need to have a software is, unlike your corrections in 1 through 1A or amendments in GSTR-1 via table 9 and 10 is not available in GSTR-9. That means you file the return once and it's done. You cannot edit it, correct it, amend it. You cannot go to the court and say, hey, I made a mistake, please reopen. No. The last thing, the form is settled. People understand the form. The chance of its extension is hardly null or nothing. So it's very important that you file the return in time, file it with accurately. When I say accurately, is correcting the mistakes that you have already done in 1 and 3B, which is not corrected till date, or if it is corrected, properly reporting at various sections where it belongs to. Now, let's begin understanding each table by table. Firstly, the turnover for the purpose of books, for the purpose of income tax, for the purpose of GST vary. We all know we pay taxes on advances in GST for services, but in the books of accounts, you treat it as current liability. We all know any revenue which is not billed, but owing to the matching concept, when it is accrued, you will recognize as revenue in the books. While it becomes revenue for the purpose of GST, Section 13, time of supply for services, read with Section 31. Only when the invoice is raised. So if invoice is raised in April, it is the time of supply in April. If you sell a, let's say I have old laptop, computers, furniture, which is sold, what would be there in the books of accounts is profit or loss on sale of an asset, while what to be offered to income for GST is the full sale value of the asset. Schedule 1 transaction, goods moved from one GSTN to other GSTN. It is not a turnover in your audited financials, but it is a turnover for the purpose of GST. So there would be a differences between the turnover in the books vis-a-vis what should have been the turnover for the purpose of GST. So fundamentally, one has to do a reconciliation and find out, starting from the turnover as per audited financial statements derived for the GST, make all these adjustments that we have spoken, arrive at the turnover what should be for the purpose of GST. You found out the turnover. This turnover you further break it into various categories. First and foremost, reporting is into two tables, table 4 and 5, if the taxes are paid within the year. So transactions on which the tax implications are done, it is in table 4, and where the transactions not having tax implications, it would be table 5. If I go into table 4 in detail, you will have to report like your GSTR-1, B2C, table 5 and table 7, B2B, table 4 of R1, exports with pay, 4C of 9, 6A of R1, SEZ with pay, 4D of R9, 6B of R1, deemed exports, 4E of R9 and 6C of R1. So, like how the turnover that you are reporting in GSTR-1, you are reporting it here again. You may ask, can I not just consolidate all the turnover of the government portal, which I filed for 12 months and put it here? The answer is yes. But however, if you have made a mistake, let's say you have some B2B turnover, but you have reported as B2C in your GSTR-1. Here is an opportunity to correct it. Or you did exports with pay, but actually in 3B you have treated as exports without pay and you did not make the payment of taxes. You didn't correct it. So you will make all these segregations and you will do a correct reporting of the turnover. 4A to 4E of GSTR-9. Then comes advances 4F. here is a place you can have a negative number. You cannot have a negative between 4A to 4E, but 4F is the advances at the closing of the year minus advances at the beginning of the year. Let's say last year you have paid an advance. Let's say you've received 1 lakh rupee advance. You paid taxes on it. This year you have raised the invoice. That 1 lakh is sitting anywhere between 4A to 4E. Your 4F will be a minus 1 lakh to depict what is the proper turnover. So 4F can be minus. Then you also have supplies which are subject to reverse charge. There are three reverse charges which I'm talking about, 93, 94, and 95. So 4G is a table where you will be reporting all these values. However, the government has introduced 4G1 by virtue of 12/2024, where 95 supplies. It includes, let's say, Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, the e-commerce operator who is facilitating the services. Such e-commerce operator will be reporting the turnover which has been routed through them in 4G1. If they have any of their original turnover, it goes to 4A, 4B. Let's take the example of Swiggy. Swiggy, every sale that is done for the restaurant business, where it is picking the food from restaurant and delivering to the customers, which is the predominant of the business, will come into 4G1. It might still have advertisement income, some other miscellaneous corporate income, which would be part of 4A and 4B. While respect to 4A to 4E, if there are credit notes, debit notes, or an amendment upward and downward, is given in 4I to 4L. Sum total of it is 4N. Now, this is the portal view. I've just taken the screenshot from the portal where you will be seeing all these line items. 4G1 is a new addition, supplies on which e-commerce operator is required to pay under reverse charge basis. Then comes table 5. Table 5 is completely exempted turnover. When I say exempted, I'm not talking exempted per se from the GST perspective. I am saying turnover on which tax is not payable. My zero rated supplies, exports without payment of taxes. SCZ supplies without payment of taxes. Likewise, any of these supplies without the payment of taxes, they would not be reporting any of their turnover from tax. So that will all be going to table 5. Your total turnover for comparison purposes, it is 5N. 5N would be 4N plus 5M minus 4G minus 4G1. 4G and 4G1 was reverse charge, which we have seen. For some of you, it might be like these table numbers are like sounding very difficult to follow. Don't worry, please download the annual return. The session is recorded. You can watch it again and go through those numbers once again. You might not get a doubt now, but when you are relooking and redoing after preparing the numbers, feel free to reach to our support numbers. I'll share our support numbers so that our support team can also assist. First, check while you're filing annual returns, look at the turnover 5N. Is this value what is there in the credit side of the P&L or arrived value of the turnover? Is this the same or not is what you have to check. How do I freeze this turnover? When I say I have to check, you have to check from all aspects. The table which I said you have, how do I deal with it, figure out? You will start with credit side of the P&L, including other income. Credit side of the expenses, if you have set off some expenses in the debit side, so debit side of the P&L, balance sheet asset side, sale of fixed assets, liability, advances, just stock transfer. So you will be culling out all this information and you will freeze the turnover. Once the turnover is decided and determined, you will have to prepare various reconciliations. This would be your working papers, helpful for your GST audit. First and foremost, for entire turnover, you should have invoice-wise listing. You should have how much of it has been reported in R1 and taxes paid in 3B, you need to know. You need to know how much is interstate and intrastate. So tax, IGST, CGST, SGST, on that you need to have a bifurcation. You also need to have HSN wise, rate wise. How much is 5%, 12%, 18% by such category wise. So the last thing is reporting is in table wise. So you also have to add B2B, B2C, export with pay. So you also have to have category wise. All these categories have to be there in your GSTR-1. In GSTR-1, you need to have this segmentation. Only then, when you have this, it would be helpful for filing your R1. When you use GSTZen software, this preparation of these details is like a cakewalk. It's like on the fly, you will be able to do it without any effort. You also have to reconcile with income tax because the government, like most of the service tax matters, notices were received looking at 26 years. Today in 3B, you also get income IT return values, and in the income tax portal, you will be getting 3B values. So since there is a cross sharing of the information, just cross verify the TDS and TCS grossed up values or 26 years gross up value with the information that you derive. From the books turnover, you have to segregate the turnover between April to March, each GSTN wise, and you should also add the stock transfer to this. Certain adjustments that one will be doing in GSTR-9, very important with regards to the payment of taxes where it happened through 3B or DRC03. All the turnover that is being reported could have happened. All the turnover that has been reported could have been paid in 3B till March 24. Well and good, no issue. That turnover gets reported in table 4. But if someone has paid the taxes in the next period, then it would be reported in table 10. If someone has paid extra and adjusted in next period, it gets reported in table 11. So technically, you have to reconcile. That is why I said reconcile the turnover which has been paid, which has been arrived, reconcile with R1 and 3B. This is what the first step I have said. Why? To arrive at where the taxes have been paid. If the taxes have been paid in 3B till March, it would be part of table 4. If it is paid later, it would be part of table 10. Now, if something is not paid, which is still payable, and you are paying it through DRC03, then such payment that is paid through DRC03, these payments would also be reported in table 4 of GSTR-9. So GSTR-9 table 4 would include the taxes that have been paid in 3B for the financial year till March, and it would also include the payments made through DRC03 annual return. This is what you have to be careful. It is DRC03 annual return. Even that will go to table 4. Reconciliation of books turnover would also be a HSN wise. So table 4, 10, 11, and 5, all these have to be reported. However, if it is an exempted turnover will not be forming part of table 10 and 11. It has to be in the table 5 itself. So, since even though you didn't report any exempted turnover either in GSTR-1 table number 8 or 31C of 3B, irrespective of it, 31C or 31E of 3B, you will still have to report it in table 5 of R9. This is again, one has to be very careful, very mindful of this. If there are any errors beyond 2024, now you are finding it. The only option is you have to pay it through DRC03. Whenever you are paying through DRC03, you should know you have to pay it through cash. You cannot pay it through ITC. You may ask how, why? Because this is a liability pertaining to March 24. You cannot use the credit accumulated after that. Exceptional situation, you have an ITC lying from that period, which is still not utilized, you can use that. Otherwise, any DRC03 payment for GSTR-9 has to be done through cash. This is an important aspect one should be very mindful of. Some spillover effects of 22-23, which you are doing in 23-24. I will come back this slide when I'm taking the examples, but broadly, if I have to say, if my actual filed figure in 3B, top left corner, you can see GSTR 3B, 1,03,000. Imagine in my 22-23, I had a table 10 figure of 5,000 rupees and table 11 figure of 2,000 rupees. Then you will also have to make an adjustments to that. You will also have to make an adjustments to that. Now, this year you have paid 3,000 extra. Why did you pay 3,000 extra? Because 5,000 pertains to the previous year. 2,000 pertains to the previous year. So you paid 3,000 extra. That means the actual amount that you have paid is only 1 lakh. So 1,03,000 minus previous year 5,000 plus previous year 2,000, which you have adjusted in this year, is what the value that you are getting. You can see how did I get 1 lakh is 1,03,000 minus 5,000 plus 2,000 is your 1 lakh. I've given various scenarios how it will be corrected. I will take it up a little later at the end basis the time. Let's move on to reporting of input tax credit. As per advisory given, the input tax credit reconciliations are now with the 2B. Earlier it was 2A. The values which will be populated for reconciliation is 2B. You have 3 tables. Table 6, ITC availed. Table 7, ITC reversed. My net input tax credit availed. Remember this number 7J. That is what I have availed the ITC. This is what reconciled with my table 8. We will see how it will be done. Contrarily, in 9C, you have 2 tables, table 12 and 14. How much you have availed the ITC from books of accounts? Is there anything which has been brought forward, anything that is been carried forward in the books of accounts? Same bifurcated expense wise. Table 6 has reporting table from 6B up until 6M. 6B to 6H is the credits that are coming from 3B. In 3B, we have 4A gross credit availed, 4B credit reversed, 4C net credit availed. Your 4C net credit availed will be matching with 6I and 6J should be 0. Another counter check that you have to see before you filing, if 6J is not 0, you have to check why it is not. Between 6K to 6M, if there are any credits coming to electronic credit ledger directly, could be Tran 1, Tran 2, ITC O1, O2, you will be reporting that. The net ITC availed is whatever is the 6 minus 7 is the net ITC availed 7J. You can also cross-verify this with whatever the taxes utilized during the year, that is called tax paid during the year, value will be reported in table 9. And your unused ITC, if there is anything at the end of the year, that is what your net ITC that you have availed. This is another reconciliation one has to do. When you use GSTZen software, these reconciliations will happen automatically. My colleague Akila would be walking you through how the reconciliations and controls are there. To summarize, the reporting of ITC for 23-24. Now let's important point. What do you mean by ITC of 23-24? Is it the ITC in books, ITC in 2A, ITC in 2B, or ITC in 3B? Input tax credit means when you are reporting in 3B and you are availing, only then it is an input tax credit. Even though it is in books 2A, 2B, if it is not there in 3B, it is not an input tax credit. Which means you have purchased goods in 22-23. Please note, I'm saying you have purchased goods in 22-23. Books of accounts in 22-23. In 2A in 22-23. In 2B in 22-23. You forgot to claim a credit there. You are claiming the credit now in 23-24. It means it is an ITC of 23-24 and it is not an ITC of 22-23. Right? The moment it is an ITC of 22-23 or 23-24, that is what the ITC you will be reporting here. So whatever the ITC that is available, still you have not claimed. In last year, while filing your annual return, in 2B, this credit was there. This was an ITC pertaining to that. You still didn't avail the ITC. So you will be reporting that you have availed in subsequent year. So in table 13 of the last year, you will be reporting. That credit, since you have availed in the current year, you will be reporting in table 6 of the current year. It's not a tongue twister. All that I'm saying is input tax credit means whenever you are finding it in your 3B, only then it is input tax credit. Till that point, it is not an input tax credit, right? So likewise, current year ITC you have availed in current year. Current year ITC means whatever is there in 2B, which you can take. If you have taken in the same year, it will be in 23-24 table 6. If you have taken in the next year, then it would be in 24-25 3B. So it would be in table 13. So 2B of current year, which is financial year 23-24, all the credits that you have taken in your GSTR 3B, then it will be coming to table 6. If some credits you have taken in next year, then it goes to table 13. Let's say you have some credit notes. You have netted off, net of reversals you have taken in 23-24. You may gross it up, split it, and now do a proper reporting. You can now do a proper reporting of credit notes and reversals into table 7. So I have given a table-wise comparisons. In GSTR-9, my original credit of 3B reported in 4A5 would be coming to 6B. Reclaimed credit, we know electronic credit reversal and reclaim. Whatever is a temporary reversal, you will park it into 4B2. And whenever you are reclaiming it, you will be bringing it to 4D1. So the value of 4D1 will come to 6H. So your 4A5 is split into two parts. The original credit goes to 6B, reclaimed credit goes to 6H. And all other credits are respectively mapped. In 3B, if you have made any error, reporting of these numbers here are there, no worries. You correct it and put it the right values in GSTR-9. These have to match with 4C of 3B, the net ITC availed during the year. So 6I minus 7I, which is 7J, should be matching with 4C. And if it is not matching, some error somewhere happened in GSTR-9. So you will have again an opportunity to reconcile, and Zen would be telling wherever the mistakes are. How do I freeze the ITC? GSTZen gives you an opportunity to upload purchase register. Like if you are using a standardized software like Tally, on a click of a button, all purchases would be taken. And it will automatically give you an analysis of the expenses with GST, expenses without GST. So GSTZen will give you a report, how much of the expenditure purchase register having GST. Your job is to segregate between eligible and ineligible. And it will also give you a register which all the expenses where GST is not applicable. Your job is to check why GST is not there, whether they are exempt in non-GST purchase or is RCM applicable. So the first level of line item wise the data extraction and presenting it to you in an Excel is handled by GSTZen. You have to check. Why do you need to see this? Because ineligible credits you have to reverse. If you have not reversed, then you can now reverse paying it through DRC 03. Reversal means it should always be happening in 3B. If you have reversed by 30th November, report it into table 12. If you haven't reversed, you discovered now, paid through DRC03 and report it into table 7 of GSTR-9. So automatically you are saying that this is what the expenditure on which ITC is claimed for the financial year. That is why we say GSTR-9 is the last opportunity to correct errors if at all something that exists. We all know how do I verify ITC. Anything towards taxable supplies, ITC is available. Anything towards non-taxable or exempt nil, ITC is not available, subject to Rule 42 and 17 subsection 5. So the blocked credits, these credits are not available. So you also have to apply Rule 42. Some instances where you have to also reverse ITC is where the blocked credits or payments not done to supplier within 180 days. These situations you have to reverse the ITC. I will skip to some of the reporting and reconciliations, and these are the checkpoints. Your RCM liability you are paying in 4G. Your credit you are availing in 6C and 6D. These both have to match. Tax paid and credit availed, cross check. The values are also available in 2B, in table 4 of GSTR 2B. Cross check whether the liability that you are paying is the other person who is saying that the tax is payable. Is this more than that? Please cross check. Important table, table 8. Table 8 will not have RCM. Okay. It will only have values which are there in 2B. In a very normal case, 8A starts with the 2B, 8B starts with your eligible and availed credits. As long as your 2B and 3B is matching, 8B is pretty simple. But if you have taken a lower credit, like if you see, though 8A is 200, which means 2B credit is 200, in my electronic credit ledger, I have only availed 120. And of 120, I am saying 23, 24 credit I have availed now 40. That means I have net availed. So to 120 minus 40, it is only 80 that I have availed. 60 plus 20 and 20 could be ineligible, but still I have availed. So 200 minus 80, 120 rupees I have not availed. So you can automatically start looking at why that you have not availed. You can start looking at whether it is a missed out credit or it is ineligible. That is something that you will have to report it later. Just to summarize, the final turnover will be there in table 4, 10 and 11. The tax payable is there in table 14 and table 9. Taxes paid is also there in table 9 and table 14. Cross verify this before you file. The liability in table 4, 10, 11 should match with the liability in table 9 and table 14. It should also be equal to taxes paid in 9. So cross verify these two liabilities should match, taxes paid should match. If these are not matching, check are there any DRC03s or if there is any reporting error. HSN wise reporting to be done in table 17. So table 4 plus 5 plus 10 minus 11 values should match with HSN. HSN should be a 6 digits if your turnover is more than 5 crores. And only then you are filing your 9 and 9C. But it can be 4 digits if your turnover is less than 5 crores. If someone who is doing it on the portal, you will have to, if you have to enter 6 digits, you have to first enter 4 digits only. Then the next 2 digits will be auto-populated. You will have to select basis that. Some reporting changes in the current year. Firstly, the 5D, E and F, exempt, nil, non-GST, can be clubbed and reported together. Table 10 and table 11, details of additions or amendments of any supplies which is declared in the returns of the previous financial year, but they were furnished in table 9A, 9B, 9C of R1. Accordingly, when you are paying 3B taxes, you will be reporting it here. ITC table 13, if you will be availing any credit of the previous year in the subsequent year, which means April 24 to 30th October 24, only that you will be reporting here. So with this, we have come to end of various discussion points. It's our time to actually dwell into practically see how GSTR 9 and 9C can be done. 9C validations, I will come back after the demo. In the meantime, if you have any questions that you have in whatever we have discussed so far, put it in the chat box. I'll take your questions. Let me hand over the session to Akila, who will be walking us through how through GSTZen we can do the GSTR 9 and 9C presentation. Akila, Manisha.
I'm just sharing the screen.
Oh.
Today I'll show you how you can file GSTR-9 using GSTZen. Using one test GST number. This is the dashboard of a particular GST number where you can download different types of reports like consolidated report as Venezuela has informed the good report where you can find the data of GSTR-1, 2A, 2A, 3B for all the months together at a single sheet. And we have GSTR-1 full year, GSTR-1 full year, 2A, 2B, a separate reports for each. And we have reconciliations between purchase register versus 2A, purchase register versus 2B, and sales register versus GSTR-1, sales register versus e-invoices, where you can do the reconciliations per annual as well as monthly reconciliations. I'll show you one. You can download the report based on invoice-wise filing period. And you can see the reconciliation dashboard based on like a summary of what is there as per books, what is there as per portal, and what is the difference. So I quickly run through how can you file GSTR-9 using GSTZen. You have to go to File GST Returns, GSTR-9, select the financial year. There is a step-by-step procedure of very 6 simple steps. The first step is to get the data from the government portal. As Venusar has explained, you have to get the details of previous financial year to check the carry forward impact, and the next financial year data to check data, whatever transactions of current financial has been reported in next financial year. Here you can download the data for all the 3 financial years, current year, previous year, and next financial year. Using this, you can just log into government portal using a OTP or username password and download all the returns here. Once the returns are downloaded, you can download the consolidated report with GSTR-9, where you'll get the pre-filled GSTR-9 based on the GSTR-1 and 3B returns filed. Based on the GSTR-1 and 3B file, the GSTR-9 has been pre-filled. You can I'll show you the different types of reconciliations like books versus GSTR-1. Since I haven't uploaded any books, I'm getting this books versus GSTR-1 as different. So once you upload it, you'll be getting the GSTR books versus 1 books versus 3B based on multiple criteria, like based on invoice date.
Actually, I just go to the top. Yeah, so this is what one of the report which we've said. Once the data is synchronized from the books, the sales overview is automatically done, where the difference between books and R1 is shown. What you are seeing in column B to column G is books versus GSTR1. The books data is there in from column H up until M, and R1 data is there from column N up until your column S. So this is automatically taken from the portal and it is prepared. So in the current case, we just downloaded the thing. Once you sync it, the information from the books would also automatically come in. Not just the thing, it will do all the reconciliation. IGST, CGST, SGST segregation, rate-wise segregation, invoice, debit note, credit note segregation, between B2B, B2C, nil exempted segregation, forward charge, reverse charge segregation, and by month the summary. So all this information is categorized into all these various categories, and you will be getting the reconciliation. This would help you to know that if you have made any mistake. Predominantly, you need books versus R1, and I would always suggest you should do this every month. There is also books versus 3B. You have a reporting. Even that information is there. If someone has to pay interest for the late reporting, that values would also be available. On a click of a button, this report gets generated. Please continue.
Similarly, we have purchase overview as well. Based on 2A or 2B, you will be getting the data. Similar to sales overview, you have rate-wise bifurcation for purchases as well. And once this reconciliation, everything, and we have this GSTR-1 versus 3B month-wise reconciliation, where you can view the differences between 1 and 3B. Table-wise, like category transaction, you can view the differences here. And we also have 3B summaries for whole financial year together at single page. This will help you to analyze what is the total taxes paid during the year and how you have used, like what is the mode of payment for making the taxes. And we have, this is one of, this is one of the good report where you can get the summary of what the 3B, what you have reported in your 3B at a single place for each and every month. And this is of GSTR-1. So one based on this GSTR-1, 3B and your books, you can GSTR-9 is auto-filled. So you can review this GSTR-9 and go to GSTZen for filling the same. Second step is to download the data, auto-calculator data from the government portal. Once data is downloaded, you can fill the GSTR-9 workings here. Most of the data will be auto-filled based on your GSTR-3B and GSTR-1, and the data auto-populated from GSTR-9. Once this data is filled in here, you can go to next step where you can review the auto-calculated data from government portal, or you can edit it from here. If you want to make any changes, you can edit it from here. And this is very similar to government portal. And table-wise data can be filled in here and save your form. Once data is saved, you can upload your HSN summary using Excel. There is a sample Excel. You can just fill and upload the Excel. All the HSN summary will be validated and uploaded here. You can view the HSN added here. Once everything is uploaded, we have a beautiful option called validation report where we'll based on the data available. If data is not available, it shows as not available. If data is available, it shows as available. Based on the data available, it will run through the validations like it compares GSTR-9 as
So here is what I was actually mentioning, friends. Sorry to cut, Akila.
yes.
After all the information is filled, like right now, since this is real time connected with the portal, so I cannot process it. But once your data is done, all those validations which I have mentioned, it is going to check. Just scroll down. There are how many validations? You have around
12
two
validation.
different validations that are available. So you need to ensure that you get a green tick on all these validations so that you know that you have filed a right return. So that is something Zen would also help you in preparing the validations. Once you are through with the validations, which is step 5 is done, you can go to step 6. So you don't need to go to the government portal for filing the GST return. In the Zen, you can do all the things yourself. It's like once this is done in the step 6, you will upload the form to the government portal. Once you click on the upload, you will get a confirm and summary will be coming, which means even before which you have saved the data, you can download that and see if everything is okay. You can click on that submit return. The only thing you have to be careful, once you have submitted, you have no other option other than signing and filing. You can file it through with OTP or EVC, digital sign, all those options are available. So once you did the submit return, you cannot come back. So that is why you have in step 6, B as download and confirm the summary from the government portal, which you will have to do. Once you have done, you are done. You haven't even touched the doorsteps of the GSTN portal. Your reconciliation is done. Akila, can you just go completely scroll up completely to the top? On the right corner on the top, you can see save your workings. You can also upload all your attachments, additional attachments. Trust me, you are filing your annual returns for the different years. The audit is going to happen 4 years, 5 years later. When the audit is happening, you don't know what is your relied upon data. So you have all this information at one place, which you can use it for future reference. Please continue. Anything else?
Yes. So this is filing of GSTR-9 using GSTZen. Once GSTR-9 is filed, you can file GSTR-9C as well using GSTZen. This is also a simple 5-step process where you have to fill in a data here, upload your documents, upload signed balance sheet and profit and loss account, upload to government portal and file the return. And here also you have an option for save your workings for your 9C. So using GSTZen, you can file your returns within a span of 10 to 15 minutes without being interrupted, having multiple validations and checks. If you go on file using the government portal, there are no validations and checks so that you might file wrong due to a human error.
Yeah, it could be little exaggeration, 15 minutes, but yeah, if the data is, all the data is
All
there, yes,
data.
in 15 minutes, you can do it.
I'll hand over to Venu sir for questions.
All right, let's come back to looking at various questions the people have. I see some of the questions that have come in the chat. And in the meantime, in case if you have any queries, you can always reach to us on the support number, which is support@gstzen.in. And you can WhatsApp 7406 441122. Okay. How much will be deducted for 9 and 9C out of my balance in GSTZen? I think Rajkumar, each return might cost you 15 plus 15. Technical team can answer, Utkarsh may answer it. But yeah, could be around that range, 50 rupees or so. It's the number of API calls that comes in. Again, volume of data for reconciliation, that would attract thing. Ramesh is asking the ITC which is reflecting in table 6A of R1. Maybe R9 you're talking. Was from 4A of 3B, which includes ITC, which was reversed previously temporary basis and taken. Perfect. So by adding it in table 4, because of this difference is coming in 6A. No, you cannot get this difference in 6A because let's say your total credit is only 100, Ramesh, but 20 rupees you have reversed and re-availed. 2B is showing 100, but your 4A5 is 120. Your 6A is auto-populated from 4A5, which will be 120. So your 6B will be 100, 6H will be 20, 6J will become 0. So there is no way that 6J can be difference in the current case. Do we still need to fill table C of R9, but now we are using 2B as a base instead of 2A? Perfect question, Rohit. Continuing with the Ramesh thing, whenever you have reclaimed the ITC, your 8A, which is populating from 2B, is showing 100, but your 8B, which is coming from 6B and 6H, is 120. So there is a duplicate addition of that. You will have 8C value twice. Two reasons. One, genuinely someone has, in spite of 2B auto-populating, someone did not take the credit, carry forward and take it next year. It will come in 8C. Same credit appeared twice, you will negate it in 8C. So those two scenarios, you will be using 8C, Rohit. How to deal with ITC of 22-23 availed in 23-24 of table 6. If you have previous year ITC that you have availed in the current year, I don't know what is the issue. In table 8 of R9, you will be having a difference. I'm hoping that you have shown this as a value in 8C of the previous year. That would be coming as a negative 8C in the current year. The Excel sheet shown by the Akila is from the portal or prepared by us. This is auto downloaded from GSTZen on a real-time basis versus your data that is uploaded. Is it mandatory to declare expense-wise ITC in 9C table 14? Answer is yes. Recording is available. Last year, RCM we have claimed in the current financial year. Where do we report it in 9 and 9C? Since you have availed in the current year, it would be there in table 6C or 6D accordingly. But the 4G liability is there in the previous year. You need to have a YTD reconciliation for the purpose of assessment. Purnima is asking 3B total ITC was declared 4A5, all other ITC, temporary reversal declared in 4B2, subsequently reclaimed. Could you confirm where the temporary reversal 4B2 and reclaim will be in R9? Purnima, this would be in 6H. Is there an option in GSTZen to save, download all written data for first few years before the written data is portal started archiving? You can actually download and save the data in GSTZen, and the option is available. Ayush is asking, in our case, the total ITC claimed in 23-24 is 1 lakh, of which 2B is showing 10,000. Ayush, your question is really not clear. Too much of a little confusion. Sorry, I'll skip it. Maybe you can re-put with the properly the numbers, because 10,000, 1 lakh of 22-23, I am not understanding it. So is because you are saying 2B is also showing 1 lakh and you claimed is also 1 lakh. See, I want everyone to get ITC of the previous year, current year. You should first, it is not from the books. ITC means whatever which is there in 2B that you have claimed. When you claimed in 3B in this year, it is this year ITC. When you claimed in the previous year, it is previous year ITC. When you claimed in next year, it is next year ITC. It has got nothing to do with the books. If 2B and 3B is matching, that means you have not carried forward, not nothing of the previous year, you have availed in the current year. 2B might have a purchase of the previous year in the current year, but still it is an ITC of the current year. ITC booked in 22-23, but availed in 23-24. Kavya, booked means what? I want all of you to understand this. Booking in the books of accounts has no relevance for a liability. Supply section 12 and 13 time of supply. For ITC section 16 subsection 2 clause D, only when you are taking it in your 3B, only then it is an ITC. Just because you have purchased, you have received the goods, you have an invoice, he has uploaded in 2A, it is there in 2B, but you did not take the credit of it, it is not an ITC. I want you to get ITC means when it has been availed, only then it is an ITC. 2A and 2B will always have a mismatch, Kadurel sir. Is there an issue? The matching, I'll find an issue. 99% of the users, it will not match. RCM last year, we said availed in current year, it will be going to 6C and 6D. Last year, you would have shown in table 13. Reversal reclaimed, we have seen it. Yeah, if you still have some questions which are not answered, feel free to reach to me. Anything on the domain related, venu@vnv.ca. Anything relating to the working, how to generate demo of the application, please reach to our support team, support@GSTZen.in. Thank you so much for watching the session and also being with us. This is being recorded. A copy of the session will be presentation will be shared to the registered participants. Thank you, everyone.